Welcome to the Living Connected podcast. I'm your host, Mallory Meyer, a multi-six-figure entrepreneur, founder of White Wolf Reiki, and a former corporate HR professional turned polyvagal-informed leadership and neurocoach, Reiki master, educator, and international speaker. In this podcast, we explore the intricate connection between our nervous system and our performance, productivity, and well-being. I'm here to guide organizations, leaders, and founders in enhancing performance, fostering a psychologically safe workplace, and building teams with high retention that thrive. Let's future-proof your business, raise team morale, and prevent burnout. Join me weekly as we tap into discussions around regulating the nervous system, rewiring the mind, and enhancing wealth and success, with a splash of my love for energy healing and magic woven in as well. Here's to choosing to live more connected. Hello to all you beautiful souls, and happy Friday. Happy Wolf Full Moon, as many of you know, me being White Wolf Reiki. Very synchronistic in the intentions with this full moon as well. And very much so in reflecting upon the week that has unfolded. There's so much that I have to share that's been unfolding behind the scenes that I'm just so grateful for. And it's just anchoring me more so into not only this new mission, but the work and the impact that is coming forward. And I can't necessarily disclose everything as of yet, but it will be being shared ever so soon and shortly. But more so than anything, in approaching what is upcoming, this is what's really drawn me into anchor into this topic of visualization for this week's episode, because there's so much when it comes to not only training our brain, but aligning our physiology to our goals, to how we are desiring to show up, to somatically embody and integrate, to feel safe to even receive. So it encompasses everything when it comes to living connected. And I also feel it has so much importance and resonance for anyone who's choosing to tune in, who's really stepping forward in recreating or even cultivating, co-creating their life, their new direction, their desires. And when it comes to having the ability to hold a vision, but more so than holding the vision, visualizing the vision in itself coming forward, how we can accelerate ourselves not only to these goals, but really find a piece of, in an essence, detachment. I want to use the word that's being brought forward right now to come forward, a place of surrender, a place of trust, a place of even strengthening, in a sense, our own resilience while we have external, sometimes circumstances, maybe giving us a different narrative and story. And are we choosing to buy into that? Or are we choosing to come back into what we can ground into with such deep truth? Now, before we tap into how you can begin to use visualization to give you a competitive advantage in your life, in your business, I do just want to acknowledge as well ways of which I embed it is actually through sometimes my self-healing Reiki practice, because especially for anyone that has been attuned, has received the placements to the level 2 symbols, you know the power that they hold and the application that they can be brought forward and woven into in your practice, in your daily life. And so it is going to amplify not only the intention, but the vision itself, the goals of your desires. And that's really a beautiful incorporation in how you can also tie the two together in such a harmonious way where you are so not only in a state of peace, but very much in a grounded sense of rooted in safety as you anticipate essentially placing this goal and seeing yourself being fully embodied on that timeline as well. I'm going to link in the show notes, just on this topic with Reiki, a beautiful episode that a client, but also a colleague of mine, her social media services are absolutely wonderful. Her name is Caitlin. Her agency is phenomenal. So, for one, if you are interested in social media, go check Caitlin out and her agency. But alongside that, she did an episode recently about working together and really her journey and how she's already 3 times the wealth that she's created in her business, not only just through Reiki, but through the nervous system connection. There's just some beautiful words and how she brings this forward and how she's so deeply embodied in the work. So I'm just so honored and so overjoyed to see these unfold for each individual and the way that they are using the practices to best support and going back into like a competitive advantage. So this is now 3 ways that I specifically use visualization. First and foremost, and I'm going to bring forward using it just as of yesterday, moving into an event that had 100 plus female entrepreneurs within. And that already was very much overwhelming for my nervous system. I'm also very introverted. So going beyond my comfort zone in a situation like that was a little activating. My mind wanted to give me so many stories as to what would create greater safety, what I could be doing with my time. And it was constantly bringing me back into trusting myself, finding safety within myself to be able to go to this event and that I would not regret it, but really coming into this opportunity to visualize who I was being and how I was speaking and who I was showing up as, being an observer, being a listener, being curious, especially when it comes to networking events. People love to talk about themselves, and simply just asking the right questions and building rapport and then bringing forward your services can be very advantageous because then you have a connected piece that you can tap into with that individual of how you could be more than just a connection. You can either collaborate together or work together. And this has really helped, especially with some upcoming news, really reshape also how I am showing up and my own ability to not just be very co co-regulated in a sense to the environment that I'm within at speaking events, but also leading workshops. So you can completely take the time to visualize yourself before any performance of an event, of a workshop, of even perhaps you're a TED Talk speaker, but really mentally preparing so you can shift how you are also going to respond. And this essentially leads into point number 2 in the ability to bring in using visualization to manage how you respond, to manage your emotions and your stress. If you find that you are someone who gets very consumed by emotions, or perhaps that you ruminate on a situation over and over, you go back and you almost have a situation where you're re-rehearsing how you would have responded, this can be really beneficial for you because it comes back into being able to regulate a little bit further the anxiety, any sort of anger, any sort of fear, in how you would even go back maybe and approach that situation, but take some lessons and visualize how you would now approach it and lean into it within the future, how you're showing up and responding and having that ability to alleviate some of that stress that you might be holding on to. It actually reminds me a lot of a period of time where I was so chronically stressed that I was actually manifesting a lot of physical pain in my body. And ways of which I leveraged visualization was seeing myself waking up feeling completely different. The weight was off, the weight that I was feeling, like the weight was off my body, and that I had the energy to complete these tasks. I could see myself moving forward and behaving in this certain way. So that can also be how it's intertwined with your workings or even within client interactions. If you have an upcoming client call or a stakeholder call, and there might be a lot of anxiety leading up to it, maybe you know it's not going to be the most positive conversation, even when it comes to performance feedback with employees. Simply visualizing how you are, I want to say, essentially aligning your physiology. And what I mean by that is how you are essentially maintaining the peace within yourself and holding and anchoring yourself into something that you can affirm, that you know to be so true, that you can come back to be that grounded energy, to not let things get escalated or very emotionally heightened through that conversation as well. And then last but not least, of course, one of the things that I'm doing daily is visualizing my goals every morning and really embodying in that visualization the potential that I am here to live up to, that I am here to deliver on, and really having this unshakable confidence, resilience, trust within my services, within who and how I am supporting, within how I am received. And this is already, in a sense, just like we bring in within our work together with hypnotherapy, with emotional freedom technique, with other tools and modalities that are really feeding your subconscious mind. This can really be a beautiful way to retrain your brain towards not only success, but equally so aligned action. And through an exercise that I share with clients to really start to see how within a minute visualization can already change their movement and their pacing towards a goal. It's kind of hard to explain through audio here, but if you know, you know. But also, just kind of working essentially, I'm always reminded of working with a marathon and running athlete, simply put. And with them, it was really seeing themselves cross that finish line under a specific time. And before they did this work, by taking the time to visualize daily towards this goal prior to their next race, they were able to achieve that goal. And it was just phenomenal because it was really getting into different elements, not only of mind and body, but also the emotional capacity that they held through that race. So, if you've been hesitant about tapping into visualization, just know that this is a form of mental fitness as well. Even for yourself, if you are a leader, of course, if you're a founder and you're looking to bring forward greater engagement with your team, if you're looking to heighten collaboration within your team, already starting to visualize that team unfold to your desires, to how you are looking to mold, in a sense, that culture and design a culture that is serving with that intention rooted in well being as well. That can be very prosperous in the sense of the presence that you are then extending through your own communication day in, day out, and really navigating sometimes very complex, nuanced situations with grace, with empathy, with compassion, but also with a sense of, again, confidence more so than anything, because you've mentally prepared. We're showing your nervous system without having lived the experience, the actual ability to essentially extend successfully yourself and your talent without the fear of death, because that's all our nervous system knows, and that's all it's essentially signaling to us is, will this kill me? So if we've never had an experience before, like performance managing an individual, maybe perhaps even having to terminate someone and let go of someone, all the signals that we are getting is that this situation essentially is such a threat that our body will want to protect us at all costs. It will want to either self sabotage, procrastinate, put it off, hand over, and delegate to HR, which, by the way, it's not HR's responsibility to essentially terminate staff, but to be an ally with managers. That's another tangent for another day. But ultimately, letting ourselves, again, build the resiliency and build up the capacity in our nervous system to say, yes, I can trust myself. Yes, this is safe. And it's woven all through visualization. So, on this note, because I am just very passionate in the resources essentially that we have within us to come forward, and I always like to use the word unlock because it's all within us. It's really just kind of bringing in our own conscious awareness in accessing it, in trusting it. Trusting is just such a big thing, in trusting in the things that our eyes cannot necessarily tangibly see in this moment. So I'd love to hear out of these three things, maybe one of them specifically spoke to you and how you're going to move forward and visualize even further and help you, again, really come into taking a competitive advantage into your life, into your work, into your relationships, you name it. And feel free to either send me a private message, leave a comment, send this to a friend, give it a rating. I appreciate all the support, all the love, and I am just overflowing with so much gratitude because not only has this journey something that's been so enriching to tap into and to really be in service of. But also, again, what's upcoming, I cannot wait to share. So, have a lovely week ahead, and we will talk soon. Until then, stay regulated. Let me just take a moment to share something that has truly elevated my mornings and helped me start my day on a greater, calm, focused, even with a punch of veggies note. I've integrated Plant People gummies into my morning routine, and their products have become an essential part of my self care. What I really find sets Plant People apart is their commitment to quality and transparency. It's a natural and plant based approach to self care that aligns perfectly with my values. But the greatest part about it is whether it's been a tea, a gummy, or even their spreads, they don't compromise on taste. So, who doesn't like treating yourself to a moment of indulgence while nourishing your well being? And I do have something special for you, the listeners here. Plant People is offering an exclusive discount. You can use the code MALMEYER, and I should say it's mal.meyer at checkout to enjoy 15% off your order. You won't want to miss this opportunity, and you can find those full details in the link in the show notes below.